am having, Mac.
Sonic the Hedgehog has a plethora of villains, and when I just say Sonic villains, you probably have a couple that come to mind, with the first one most obviously being Dr. Ivo Robotnik. But even aside from Dr. Eggman, there's probably so many great ones that come to mind, like Metal Sonic, or Chaos, or Mephiles, and so on and so forth. These are just a few of the villains that are loved within the Sonic the Hedgehog community, but there are some that aren't, well, treated exactly the same way. There are some villains within this series that are treated as some of the worst villains in media in general, just because of how bad they're portrayed in the games and other media, or also just based off their writing or just poor design. Now, when I say the most hated Sonic the Hedgehog villain, as the title suggests, you probably have one particular character in mind, but what if I told you that it wasn't just one character? It was an entire group of individuals. Now, I think I have your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, the Deadly Six. I know some people just by hearing the name of these characters start seething with rage and want to just punch the TV screen or phone screen or whatever you're watching this video on. But yeah, the Deadly Six are probably, no, they are the most hated Sonic villains, and I'm saying this based on, well, observation of the fan base. You see, I've been a Sonic fan for many years now, over a decade at this point, and I haven't seen anyone complain about any other Sonic villains, nor characters for that matter, as much as people seem to complain about the Deadly Six. I know some people might say that Infinite is the most hated on Sonic villain, and while I can understand where you might be coming from with that, here's where you're wrong. You see, Infinite actually was backed by the whole idea that this would be like a second version of Shadow. Like, people thought that he was going to be like this kind of dark anti-villain or just straight up villain that we'd be seeing in the series again, sort of like how Shadow was in the beginning, where they were both kind of mysterious. We didn't know a whole lot about them outside of them being, well, very powerful. Infinite captured people just by being so interesting and mysterious. Nobody really knew what this character was about. There were theories that this was like an evil version of Tails or something. I remember actually buying into that theory when I read it too. But the thing about Infinite was he set the bar so high only to be a disappointment. The character, well, it's not good, but it's not like the worst thing ever. And I think a lot of people even like Infinite to this day because they see the potential in him. They like what Infinite could have been, but not the character himself. You see, with the Deadly Six, I don't think anyone likes what the characters could have been because there were really no expectations with the Deadly Six in the beginning. To everyone, it just seemed like they were just colorful monsters. The bottom line is, unlike Infinite, the Deadly Six have no prior expectations to be married to. You don't like the Deadly Six because of what they could have been. If you like the Deadly Six, you just like the Deadly Six. There's no kind of attachment there. But what is it about the Deadly Six that makes people hate them so much? And it isn't to say that everyone hates them, because I'm sure there are some people out there that do like the Deadly Six, and if you do, kudos to you. But even still, what's wrong with them? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Firstly, there's the idea that some people believe that they don't necessarily fit the Sonic vibe. They don't exactly have that, Sonic design-esque feeling to them that makes you say, oh yeah, that's a Sonic character. To some people, I mean, they just don't look like they belong in this series. And that isn't to say that the Sonic series hasn't deviated in the past before with having really different art styles for some of their games, because, I mean, you look at something like this from Sonic 06 with Soliana, and then you look at something like this from Sonic Forces, where it's like, okay, I see what they were doing, but it's not exactly, well, not even really close to being the same. Suffice to say, this series has what I like to call limitless bounds. It can be as goofy or as serious as it wants to be, and that doesn't mean just in the tone of the story or the direction of it in the first place. It means in every aspect we see here, whether it's designs or just the overall world itself. The Sonic series is pretty much limitless. So with that being said, as much as I used to really agree with the whole idea of they don't really work here, I don't know, I think it's fine. But there's also the idea that maybe the Deadly Six are kind of stretching what is known as limitless, where, they just feel too out of the box. But even if one were to argue that their designs actually do work in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, okay, sure. You have another problem though, the way they're written. This is another reason why a lot of people hate these characters, because they don't even live up to their name. They're supposed to be the Deadly Six. When you read a name like that, you think these characters are going to be ruthless, taking no prisoners, absolutely decimating everybody in their path. And while these characters definitely do have the potential and physical prowess to do that, they don't give off the impression when you look at them, or when you hear them speak. At least, not all of them do. Now, we do have to talk about the writing for these characters as well, which is not great and probably what you would argue is the worst thing about them, but that also might be a little bit of an unfair criticism because if you think about it, the entirety of Sonic Lost World is not written good. Like, nobody's written well in this game, like, at all.
Eggman, you bite!
I mean, you can't tell me this isn't the definition of peak writing in the series. I mean, it's clearly the best thing we've ever seen. Move over, Sonic Adventure 2. This is better. Now, I don't want to give you guys the impression that I'm over here trying to defend the Deadly Six and say that they're actually not as bad. And I know I'm a positive person, so you might have actually expected me to say something like that. But no, I don't think they're good. I don't think the Deadly Six is good in any capacity aside from one media, and that is the IDW comics. I think that is the only facet of these characters that I find even remotely redeemable. But even then, most of my actual interest in them in the IDW comics in the first place is just in Zavok. Everyone else I still find to be pretty much, boo-boo. We're going to move on and talk more about the IDW comic characterizations, or I guess writing of them later, but I still want to talk about an aspect of these characters that I find completely confusing. Like, for example, I know how in Team Sonic Racing, if you look in, like, one of the official manuals or whatever, it says that, like, Zavok was the former member, or former leader, if you will, of the Deadly Six, suggesting that the team had disbanded or, like, they moved on without Zavok, which is, like, I don't know, it's weird. It's almost as if they're trashing all of the other characters and leaving Zavok here. I mean, my whole thing was, like, I didn't like them anyway, so, I mean, I guess that's cool if they're all going to be gone, but, I mean, why even keep one of them if you're going to trash all of them? Like, I feel like they come as a team, especially, I mean, even if you don't like the writing of these characters, you have to understand Zavok as a character, and it's really emphasized very well in IDW that he's someone who really values his team. He values the Deadly Six. So for him to just kind of move on without them or just disband, I don't know. That's kind of weird to me. And also, I don't like Zavok and Eggman's relationship in that game. I'm not even sure if TSR is canon. I think it actually is. I mean, I know some people are going to be out there saying it's a spin-off, so it shouldn't matter. But I'm sorry, I don't want to hear that the stories don't matter in Sonic games, because if you're going to watch my channel, bro, you're going to know that I care about this stuff. Whether it's a blue hedgehog or not, I'm interested in this story. So it's weird to see Zavok and Eggman kind of being on, like, buddy terms, working together in any capacity, considering of how much actually Zavok does not like Eggman. I think that's what makes him a really unique character in the first place, because he's not someone who just hates Eggman, he hates Sonic and Eggman. So, like, he's fighting against everyone. Eggman and Sonic have mutual disdain towards him too, so it kind of has this, like, weird little angry triangle. You know, you got the love triangle. This is going to be like an angry triangle going on here, where the three of them are just going to constantly butt heads, and I kind of enjoyed that. That'd be an interesting dynamic if you want to keep using this character going forward. Don't make him work with Eggman again, you just make him like another lackey for Eggman. And I think Zavok already has enough interesting things alongside his powers to kind of do something cool with, like the fact that he can kind of control the Eggman robots if he wants to. So I mean, you can give him that kind of thing going on there, and you can have him fight Eggman and also fight Sonic too. I mean, if you wanted to keep using him, that is. But anyway, taking things back to the IDW comics, I gotta say, I'm so glad that I caught up with these things. If you haven't read any of them yet, I definitely recommend it, because it gives you a lot of different lore things going on there, and it actually is canon, which surprises me, but I think somehow they'll find a way to make it work. But even still, I enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed most of it, including the moments where we see the Deadly Six. I honestly gotta say, once again, I didn't care much for the rest of the characters' characterization outside of Zavok, but I enjoyed seeing how powerful they can actually be, just decimating villages and causing Sonic problems. But even still, it was also cool to see just how powerful Sonic is, as he was literally taking them out basically on his own. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, if you're gonna use characters like the Deadly Six to kind of show off the raw power of them early on, and then have them face someone like Sonic, and then absolutely get, like, kind of decimated in the beginning outside of fighting against Zavok, where we see him truly just show how powerful he is by taking on both Sonic and Tails, and, I don't know, almost winning? I think it shows a lot about these characters, that they really do need Zavok there to kind of keep them all together, otherwise they're gonna completely crumble. Above all though, I think my favorite part about this IDW iteration version of Zavok or whatever is that he's not just empty words. He's able to back up everything he says with actual physical prowess. He has great dialogue and great combat. Like, bro actually contests against Sonic and beats him nearly to a pulp. It's so cool to read and see how this character is drastically different than what we've seen in the actual games themselves. And just to give you some more context on how, captivated I was by Zavok's character, when I finished catching up on IDW, I went and read the Bad Guys miniseries just because I wanted to see more Zavok. I legit just wanted to see how they continue to write this character even in the spin-offs, and the consistency is there, guys. I think they really did a great job with this character in IDW. Unfortunately, I don't really care for the other characters. They don't really get as much screen time as Zavok does, or I guess panel time, if you will. Now, that isn't to say I'm starting to like Zavok or the Deadly Six, I just like these versions of those characters. But if you like these characters in general, or if you don't, I think there's one thing that we can all agree on. Zavok is literally a Bowser clone. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, it wouldn't hurt to turn on the post notifications bell, that way you never miss a video from me. You guys do not want to miss what I have to say. Anyway, with all that said and done, thank you all again so much for watching. This is Sonic signing out. I'll see you in the next one. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?